happy bros. Hey, you're about to get a face full of the Kenn Bosak. He's a mentor. That's what I heard. He's a connector. Oh yeah. He's a brilliant leader. I've seen it. He's Kenn Bosak. Oh, happy bro. You gotta get some Bitcoin and hold it. Happy bros. You gotta get those NFTs and you gotta hodl that stuff. You gotta hodl it. 'Cause I'm Kenn bro. We got your Bitcoin, bro. He's an original. Buy some NFTs and hold them. How many times does he have to tell you? Going to the moon. We're 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 gonna get real high. 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 Yeah, we're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Bro, we're going to the moon. Oh yeah, we're going to the moon. We're gonna get real high. Real high. Yep. Real high. Hello, happy bros. Come get your Kenn Bosak.
And we're live. There we go. How goes it? GM in the afternoon. If you guys are watching live right now, there are cash stamps right down there on the bottom of the screen. You can see it. If you scan it, first come, first serve. Please make sure that if you already have some crypto, leave it for somebody who does not have any crypto. It's not much, right? It's not worth snagging out of the hands of somebody we're trying to on-ramp, but it is something to get somebody who's new into crypto started. My co-host, as always, I'm joined by Double O Tats. How goes it, bro?
Man, you know what it is, man. Double O Tats and Black James Brown with the tattoo gun, man. Just happy to be here with my dog Steve. What's up, Steve?
Yeah, our guest today on Not Another Bitcoin Podcast is Steve, the man behind the cash stamp. As you see it right there on screen. How goes it, bro? Introduce yourself. Let us know a little bit about, like, you know, who you are, how you got into crypto, and what you're doing now in this space with cash stamps.
Sure, yeah. Steve Thurmond, I've been involved with crypto in one way or another since about 2011 is when I was first turned on to Bitcoin. Early adopter, I guess you could say, went through all the different iterations. Oddly enough, my first exposure to alternative currencies was when I was 13 in 1989. My mother opened a franchise in Nashville where we lived called Trade Bank International. It is still a functioning organization now, and it essentially was established to be a barter exchange scenario for business to business. You can look up Trade Bank International right now and see that it's still live, and they've got offices and franchises worldwide. But they essentially had something called a trade dollar, where businesses would barter with each other using these trade dollars instead of fiat, which was fantastic. And that my mom opened the franchise in Nashville in '89, and so that was my first exposure to something other than fiat currency as a medium of exchange. Fast forward into my my late 20s, I guess, as I was exposed to Bitcoin in 2011. Procured my first Bitcoin in 2013-ish, and
OG.
yeah. I mean, there's definitely more OGs out there than myself, but back then there was very few ways to actually get it unless you were mining it, which I, of course, like everybody, kicking myself in the ass that I didn't. early on, but that's neither here nor there. So I had to physically write a check to a place called Camp BX in Atlanta, and then they would self-custody the Bitcoin for you, and then if you had a wallet, you could send them an address, and they would transfer it to your personal self-custody wallet. So it was kind of a custodial solution, but it was the only way that I knew of at the time to actually on-ramp to Bitcoin. And then once you got it in your self-custody, then you could do whatever. And of course, like so many people, the dark web markets were calling. So my first experience, I guess, in using it as a medium of exchange, I never engaged in the Silk Road.
You bought some coke. You bought some coke on the dark web.
No. Nothing
Coke,
ever.
baby. Diet.
Nothing has ever gone up this nose or in these veins, but I do enjoy psychedelics. So back then that was I guess my choice. And there was a market called Hansa. I don't know if you remember the Hansa market, Ken. So when Silk Road got crushed, these dark web markets just popped up like wildfire. You know, they would squash
like
one.
When Napster got squashed.
Oh yeah.
Kazaa, LimeWire, BearShare, they all.
Of course, it's always a cat and mouse game, you know, and we will always be one step ahead of them one way or another, because bureaucracy. The upside of bureaucracy is it's very inefficient and slow moving. But yeah, all these dark web markets popped up. I mean, literally every week you'd see a new one popping up, and I engaged in some fun on Hansa Market, specifically in the psychedelic realm. I do enjoy some fungus every now and again. But anyway.
Well, shout out to Mushmore then, because they accept crypto and they have really good microdose capsules that I've been taking. They have some cool candy bars. They'll mail it anywhere. It's Mushmore. And yeah, shout out to my bro.
Nice. Well, I am 50 now, so I don't engage in that as much as I used to. But
that's why I say it's microdosing. I don't
yeah.
fall in anymore either, man.
Sure. But it's every now and again I do enjoy it as I call it a brain laxative. There's nothing better than really clearing out the mental garbage and then enjoying that 2 to 3 week afterglow after a good experience. So I'm of the firm belief that if you are of sound body and mind, you should experience mushrooms at some point in your life. If you're not of sound body and mind, definitely take caution there, because it's not always kittens and rainbows when you're on a heavy
good
trip,
guide,
so.
A good shaman, a good babysitter could help tune your out of frequency tuning fork. Like if you're around people that you want to resonate with, and you're not vibing, you could maybe, again, tune in with some psychedelics, hang out with the crowd, and you'll vibe. Your tuning fork will be set to the right frequency.
Right. Setting is key with psychedelics, but the asterisk I'll put on there is that if you are prone to any psychosis in any way, shape, or form, or if it's hereditary in your family, you probably want to avoid psychedelics at all costs. That's just my personal opinion, but I think there's a lot of evidence to show that as well. These things are, in my opinion, sacraments, and they should be treated with a lot of respect. And if you're already got some screws loose upstairs, probably not the best idea to double down on that.
Yeah, you get stuck as a teapot for the rest of your life, and you're that cautionary tale that becomes like the legend kids tell each other in middle school and high school. You shouldn't do that. You'll be stuck like a teapot.
Right. I'm an orange hanging from a tree. That's the one I always heard.
Oh, yeah. Mine was definitely the teapot story. Earlier you mentioned about, kicking yourself in the ass over mining, and I really I still don't see it that way, because at any point in any time, you could have, bought a miner, but then you could have just bought the asset that you wanted to mine, and you probably still could have outperformed the miner at the time. The only reason miners really did well was they kind of duped investors into investing in the mining facilities, and that was really sort of like the cash flow at the time. But even still to this day, a lot of miners are mining in the negative. The only money they have is from investors right now, and yeah, I don't know. I've never seen it as like a missed opportunity. I still wouldn't go back in time and mine.
I say that for the simple fact that in 2011 you could still effectively mine at at a significant profit, and as much time as
2 large pizzas and got 10,000 bitcoins. So I mean,
right.
why would I mine 10,000
Right.
bitcoin when I could trade somebody 2 large pizzas?
Right, that's true. But I was always a tinkerer, and as much time as I spent online, I'm like, why the hell didn't I just, queue up a mining session back then? And whatever, it's all hindsight's always 2020. So no harm, no foul. And now I see it completely differently, because what we're talking about right now is more number go up scenarios. And I don't treat Bitcoin Cash in that way. I treat it as cash, as a medium of exchange, and I'm really not focused or concerned on the number go up thesis that a narrative that dominates so much of this space in the first place. Yes, it sucks, especially if you have a large bag and you see a massive dip like we've had in the last 2 weeks. That sucks, but the reality is I don't hold at any given time. I do not hold any significant amount of crypto at all, BCH or otherwise. I just on ramp. I have cash flow, so I on ramp it and use it and spend it and replace it as necessary. And I think that's really, at its most purest core, that is what Bitcoin Cash stands for, a medium of exchange. So there's obviously an argument for saving, holding, and investing, if you will, for your financial future when you can't earn this stuff. But you've made this point yourself many times as well, Ken, is that earn your BCH. Do something that actually gets you paid in it, and then use it as the medium of exchange that it works so well as. Spend it and then replace it as necessary. And so I have fully embraced that ethos. I am not a whale in this space. I do not hold bags of this shit at any time. I just onboard it, on-ramp it as needed, spend it in the ecosystem, try to promote its utility as a superior medium of exchange, and then rinse and repeat on an ongoing basis.
I respect that. That's a healthier way.
We thank you so much for that, bro. Yeah, bro, because you're doing such a amazing, wonderful job, bro. Like, and it's like you so consistent, bro. Like, big up. If I had a hat on, I'd take it off.
The reason he's consistent is because how he's doing it is sustainable.
Right.
And that's what I wish more, companies or even people in the space weren't as all in as they are, because it would be more sustainable if they used their cash flow to do so, right? And it's just, I got diamond hands, but I'm all out of the system. I have no choice but to use crypto because I burned all the fiat bridges that were ever given to me. I even gave out my social. I don't want to use anything to do with that system. I never even actually used a stable coin once, ever. Never once used a stable coin.
That's awesome. You and Joel are in a very small and unique class in that you are actually walking the walk. You are actually practicing what you preach, which is
I've seen what I missed on the
respectable.
internet, man. Like the early internet, when I was, doing 56K dial-up AOL disc shit and figuring out Napster, and my friends' parents were paying me for it. I should have stuck with it. You know what I mean? I look at where I probably would have been with traditional Web 2, right? I could have been much farther, especially with how MySpace was teaching us all how to code with HTML, Java, HTML5, all that we were comfortable using on MySpace. And I just realized when crypto first came around and I heard about it, I re-seen the internet and those opportunities that I missed of all right, I'm just going to have to go all in on this because no matter what, I'm going to know more than anybody who gets in whenever they get in. And that's what I spent the past 10 years doing.
And that mentality is how we change the dynamic. The way I see it, and echoing exactly what you're doing, is the more dollars I can move from fiat into the decentralized peer-to-peer electronic cash medium of exchange space, the more it bolsters the community, the idea, the utility, the power, and the revolutionary aspect of this technology. So that's what I do. I don't hold anything substantial at any given time, but I have cash flow and I just move that shitty fiat into this superior hard sound money. And my methodology is the more that I can do that, the more it bolsters this space, helps it grow, helps people like Double O Tats have the massive impact he's been having. He texted me after his campaign got funded, and he was like, "Was that you?" I was like, "Man, I wish I totally wish I could take claim for that funding, but it wasn't." it wasn't me because I don't hold 47 BCH at a time. Now, so I'm so thrilled that he got his funding on that, and we're one step closer to getting that Sprinter van rolling. But what's really cool about it is we have no clue who that person was. It's
I speculate it's Roger. Roger wants some degenerate shit to happen, and he can throw that around and be like, "All right, show me what you got." You know, that's my conspiracy theory.
That would be awesome if you actually got it from one of the true BCH
so
OGs.
But people have reached out to Roger. Well, 00 was on tour with me at different conferences. Different people would come up to us and send us, like, take a picture with 00 and then text it right to Roger, and Roger would call them. And so, like, this has happened multiple times now at different events that, like,
I love
Roger
it.
is definitely aware of 00, and that's why I get to, like, live in my conspiracy theory bubble where it's like, yeah, Roger wants to see what you can do with a Sprinter van. Go ahead. Impressive.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I should have some feedback later this week, Tats, on... I've got a contact who has a contact and that I'm trying to connect with. Apparently this gentleman bought like 50 hail-damaged Sprinter vans, and he's just got them parked in a lot somewhere, and he's selling them on the, well, I don't know how cheap, but they're obviously, they're hail damaged, so they couldn't be sold by retail car places or whatever, but I'm going to find out what our options are there, and maybe if we can get a deal, and if I can onboard him to BCH.
We'll make the graphics for the Sprinter van vibe with the hail damage, so it just looks like
that's what I figured.
Effect.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
We make happy accidents like Bob Ross. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and you know,
that's
Bob
right.
Ross is one of my Mount Rushmore white people. So yeah.
No, for real. I know. You told me. That's what I'm thinking though. Like, you know, you say there's like hail damage. I'm thinking that's just a 3D effect for the graphics now. That's gonna look
exactly.
Yeah.
I figure if you're gonna wrap it anyway, it should be less noticeable. But we'll figure that out. I'll try to get you some feedback on that later this week, Tats. But yeah, man, super excited. Now you said I saw you post, Ken, about it as well. Will you guys be stinking it up in the van across the country here? Is that the plan?
Hell
together?
Yeah. The plan, Hell motherfucking yeah.
Trying to get out to Vegas so I can stay with 00, and then we're going to grab the van and just go on a tour, traveling around making content on the go.
I love it, man. That's huge. It's awesome. It's direct outreach. It's shaking hands. It's getting BCH into the hands of individuals, and that's where we're going to have the biggest impact, I think.
Yeah,
oh yeah, for sure. Man. We're gonna be able to go to, like, you know, crypto events, but also tailgating other events. Because, like, right now, what's happening in New York City is so crazy. Man, we should be out there tatting on the sidewalk while everyone's going crazy over the game.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
yep.
Facts. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, New York Knicks tattoos and shit. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Put a B in the basketball.
Yes,
like, yeah, I go crazy. Yeah,
that's the vision I have, is like, that's the stuff we're gonna be doing, that like viral content stuff, but also just like viral life stuff. You know, just the content was made while we were doing the life stuff.
Facts.
It's awesome. Can't wait. I hope it lasts, you guys. If you shower regularly, you should get some time out of it.
Yeah, no. I mean, Planet Fitness is gonna be.
I was gonna say Planet Fitness. Yeah, you know, we gonna get in the gym and everything. We finna turn up. Like, we finna. Yeah.
And all we gotta do is park in a Holiday Inn parking lot, and every morning they got free breakfast. I already got a plan, man.
Oh, that's smooth. They ain't checking to see if you stay there that night. I never thought of that.
The morning employees are different than the night employees. So they don't know who checked in the night before the breakfast. Trust me, I'm a degenerate, bro. I'm a degenerate.
Right. I wonder why no homeless people ever think of that.
I do, but they look like they didn't get a room there that night.
Right. Yeah, you come in there like this, you know.
You show up with your suit on, you're good.
I'm good. I love that. And we're gonna be live streaming that shit too. That's what we gonna do every day. I can see that.
I love your mantra, Ken. That I heard you say for the first time in Ljubljana. You're like, you can just do shit. Just do it. You can just do shit. Don't ask for permission. Just do shit. The free will maximalist. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
For
definitely
sure.
trying to get more people on the free will maxi train at BCH Bliss. Yeah, it was fun. That was a vibe, man. I definitely can't wait till next year. And you know what? This goes into sort of the topic of the day here, because I wanted to talk a little bit about what problem does your coin actually solve. You know, when a lot of people are talking about Bitcoin Cash, they genuinely don't understand the difference or the solution or the problem, right? Like, so like what problem does Bitcoin Cash actually solve that Bitcoin itself does not?
Well, in short, it actually functions well as a medium of exchange. That really is what sets it apart from BTC. BTC, when it first launched, the whole narrative and ethos was spot on. The white paper was spot on in that it was a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, freedom money for the world. And if you go back to that point in time, or if you were around in that point in time, that was the narrative. This is freedom money. This is a way for us to unshackle ourselves from the predatory, legacy, dirty fiat system that we're all subjected to on an ongoing basis. And then fast forward, 2014, 2015, it started to be actually used online and in several different merchants and industries and corporations were accepting it as a method of payment. 2014 to 2017 is really when the block size war was happening, but it happened because people were actually using it as money. And what happened during that time was it drove up transaction fees to unsustainable levels for 99.
It was costing me $1 to send $1.
Correct. Which is just asinine. So it eliminated the freedom money component for 99% of the planet. You know, big business, big money, anybody that benefits from the Cantillon effect, the one percenters, they don't give a shit. They'll gladly send $1 billion for $1,000 transaction fee. It doesn't affect them at all. But what it did is it completely neutered and hamstrung the rest of the globe for using it as freedom money. Because the majority of the world is living on sub $100, $200 a month in income the world over. They're simply not going to use that as a medium of exchange, just for the transaction fees alone. Not to forget taking into the account that 10-minute block times for a transaction is just not a good medium of exchange experience. Nobody's going to stand in line for a bag of rice in South Sudan or a caramel macchiato at Starbucks for a transaction to clear. And that's because...
Wouldn't that business just be okay, like, trusting that transaction while it says pending? It's like, all right, it says pending, we're good, go ahead, leave. What's the worst that could happen?
BTC does not integrate SPV, Simple Payment Verification, where BCH does. So with BCH, you can have with 99.99% certainty that when that transaction goes through and it shows up in your wallet almost instantly, that it is a safe transaction that will be added to the next block. And BTC does not have that. You have to wait for that 10-minute block time to go through until it actually shows up in your wallet. And that's 10 minutes at minimum. I remember waiting days using centralized exchanges for my transaction to go through. Up until 2017, 2018, it was taking that long sometimes, which it just does not function as a medium of exchange. And I would argue that is exactly what gives Bitcoin teeth, the medium of exchange component. Well, since that no longer worked as a narrative because transaction fees and long block time confirmations, what did they do? They had to hijack the narrative, and then they started pushing this digital gold store of value narrative rather than the superior freedom money narrative it originally had. They knew it wasn't freedom money, so they had to hijack not only the tech, but the narrative as well. Oh, it's a store of value first. The medium of exchange comes later, which is completely backwards and asinine. And not only do I think that, but look at the Austrian economic greats, Menger, Mises, Rothbard, Paul, Sol. the most essential quality money has, and it has many different properties and qualities, but its most essential quality is its utility as a medium of exchange. The store of value comes as a byproduct because of its utility as a medium of exchange on its way to becoming a unit of account. Of course, there's been books written about this shit, and we could talk about it for days, and people much smarter than I do.
Scenario. It is a linear one after another. But
Correct.
Yeah, I feel like the usability for BTC, that's why we're not seeing it accepted at Stake and Shake. You know, people think Bitcoin is accepted at Stake and Shake, but it's not. It's not BTC. It's Lightning. It's not
Correct.
Bitcoin.
Correct.
They're building ways around BTC to make it somewhat usable, but it's so far from on chain that it might as well not be BTC. So it's just like a weird marketing thing that Bitcoin has right now when you see like Lightning is accepted at Stake and Shake, but they don't say it like that. They say Bitcoin is accepted at Stake and Shake. So it's just like a marketing stunt from like where I stand.
Which is so easily to prove inaccurate as a statement. All you have to say is, show me the your transaction ID on the blockchain for that shake you just bought. And they can't, because there is no BTC transaction ID on the blockchain for the shake that they just bought, because they didn't use Bitcoin. They used a proxy that, I know I'll get pushback from all of this, but the easiest way to explain Lightning is that it is an IOU for BTC at the end of the day. It is a proxy. I kind of agree with Joel. Yeah, exactly. Now, you'll get pushback on that from Lightning maxis, but it's self-evident to me. When you complete a Bitcoin transaction, you immediately have a transaction ID that you can see on the Bitcoin blockchain, and Lightning does not produce that. You only have a transaction ID when you open a channel and close a channel, that's it. And in the middle, you've got a proxy there, which is, there's no other way of saying it. It's a clusterfuck Rube Goldberg contraption that tries to get around this to scale.
Within on-ramping. Like that's
exactly
what it comes down to. And
right.
My whole like thing to point out like the obvious is like if somebody says, "Oh, Lightning is Bitcoin," then I'll say, "All right, here, let me send some BTC to your Lightning address." Oh wait, it won't let me. Then
right.
It's not Bitcoin then. Now is it, right? Like that's plain and simple, straight up. There it is. Your wallet just told you that this address isn't a Bitcoin address. So
that's correct. That's correct. It's self-evident.
Telling you. Yeah, exactly.
It's self-evident.
What I'm getting at is if Bitcoin did work as intended, you would see it at McDonald's. You would see it already at Walmart. You would see
you were.
It doesn't. But yeah, right.
This is what caused the block size war, because you could use it at Orbitz, Overstock, Newegg, Tesla, Steam. And when people actually started using it for its intended purpose, it drove up the transaction fees. It creates the negative feedback loop where people are not going to use it and merchants are not going to accept it because of the slow confirmation times and transaction fees. And this is exactly the impetus that started the block size war in 2014 that lasted to 2017. The big blockers realized that, hey, this is not going to fucking work. And if you keep this crippled and hamstrung at 1 megabyte blocks with 7 transactions per second, it's never going to work as money. So they started pushing to raise the block size, which this is self-evident in the white paper as well. The original block size when BTC was created is either 8 or 10 megabyte blocks, I forget. Then Hal Finney suggested that this is prone to DDoS attacks and spam. Let's mitigate the block size until we get enough activity and demand on the chain that we can scale it as necessary. This is not debatable. This is fact. What happened is they got to the point where they needed to scale the block size, and this is where the tinfoil hat and conspiracy theory has to come into play, because I argue, and if you read Hijacking Bitcoin, and if you understand the narrative of most big blockers, Bitcoin Cash or otherwise, we think that the legacy system saw BTC for the real threat. There you go, my man. We think they saw it as the real threat it was. It had fangs to dethrone the legacy predatory fiat system we're subjected to. And they knew that they had to do something about it. Well, if you just come down with a hammer on something, it creates shockwaves and ripples, and people are like, oh, well, why is this so bad if you're just outlawing it, banning it outright? People start digging in. So you don't do that. You don't smash it with a hammer. I use the reference that if you're familiar with Stefan Molyneux, I heard him say early on, you don't stop it immediately. You throw little bits of sand into the machine until it slowly comes to a grinding halt. And that's what you saw, I would argue, since its inception and started getting on the radar of the powers that be up to 2017. They were throwing little bits of sand in it, changing the narrative, crippling its ability to actually function as money in a medium of exchange, throwing bits of sand in that machine until it came to a grinding halt and was no longer a threat. They defanged Bitcoin is what they did. So it wasn't a threat to the legacy system, turned it into a digital pet rock store of value narrative, which is absolute bullshit. And now what is it? It's nothing but another speculative asset for people in TradFi to gamble with in the casino that is the market. That's all it is. It has no utility as a medium of exchange. Well, I'm sorry, it does for the multimillionaires and billionaires who will gladly send it and wait 20 minutes to send $1 billion for a $100 transaction fee. But it completely cuts everybody else off at the knees for it to work as money. And that's exactly where they want it, because it's no longer a threat.
We lost the retail adoption narrative. The narrative of retail adoption is gone. The buy the rumor, sell the news of retail adoption is gone. It went straight leapfrogged into institutional adoption. And now, the only thing I think that has the energy to give us another wave is like if the royal family, whether, whichever one decides, when royalty starts to get involved, maybe there'll be another buy the rumor, sell the news event, but nothing else can compete. Because they just leapfrog the whole retail industry, and nobody cares if mom and pop shops are accepting crypto anymore.
Yeah, and but what you're highlighting there is just part of the fiat mind virus. If they keep just pushing this number go up narrative, it will never usurp the very thing it was created to usurp, which is fiat currency. If it's inextricably tied to fiat and measured in fiat and has no chance of becoming a unit of account because it doesn't work as money, it's zero threat. All it is a speculative asset. That's it. It's zero threat, which is exactly where they want it. That's exactly where they want it, because it's no threat to the current legacy system. Who cares if a Bitcoin is $1 million a Bitcoin if you're spending $50 for a 6-piece of chicken McNuggets at McDonald's? It's just, well, they say, it'll constantly stay ahead in store of value against the dollar. And that's fine until people around the world no longer want to use the US dollar as the global reserve currency. And you're seeing that. BRICS is coming online, and they're looking, other nations are looking for ways to trade and resources other than USD because they know it's the dog shit that it is. Yeah. Long term, all fiat currencies die. There's been like close to 800 fiat currencies throughout history. Every one of them has failed within a matter of time, usually within 100 years, and the bulk of them within about 30 years. Why? Because the fucking clowns that run the shit and control the purse strings, as soon as they realize they have a money printer, they debase it into oblivion. Yep. And this will happen with USD as well.
Well, what American citizens have had with USD is the blessing of the Iran petrodollar kind of deal that was going on there, and the fact that as an American, you can go to Canada, Mexico, pretty much anywhere on the world, you can go anywhere and you can spend US dollar at any store. They'll accept it. But if it was on the other shoe, you can't just leave China with the Hong Kong dollar, come to a New York City restaurant and spend Hong Kong dollar. So Americans were kind of blessed with this petrodollar being used in Iran for oil deals, which basically made the United States dollar a secondary currency everywhere in the world that was buying oil, and like everywhere got familiar. So like at the point, even the cartel started to prefer the US dollar, even though they lived in Mexico. They only wanted US dollars. They didn't want no pesos, right? So all of that contributed to the value of the US dollar in that sense of, like you mentioned earlier, its usability. added value to it, which is why the dollar went a little farther over time at some point. But then the cartel opted out of the dollar. Everybody else started opting out of the dollar in the crypto. And we're seeing what's happening to the dollar over the past almost 20 years now, where there has been a choice other than the petro. You know, the petrodollar is dead. It had a monopoly. The monopoly is over. And I think the crypto monopoly has only just begun.
Yeah, well, I think it still has a monopoly, but I think you're right. The tide is certainly turning. Are you a fan of Dune at all? The series, The Moon? Okay. He who controls the spice controls the universe. This always is going to come back to natural resources at the end of the day. You can have any kind of medium exchange of money that you want, but he who controls the spice, the natural resources, controls the world at the end of the day. Now, we need something to trade those natural resources in, and the U.S. dollar happens to be that thing currently, but I agree with you that the tide is turning. The jig is up, and it's just a matter of time before the U.S. dollar, which is simply the best horse in the glue factory, goes through the glue factory itself. So yeah, I don't know how long this is going to take. The main reason we can get away with kicking this can is because we still have the biggest guns. This is all backed by the military-industrial complex at the end of the day. And you don't play ball, well, we'll bring democracy to you in the form of a war, a proxy war that we have no business being in. So this, you can't look at just one thing here. You've got to look at the big ball of wax geopolitically. But at the end of the day, war is money. Money is power. Resources govern everything at the end of the day. It's a big, complicated ball of wax. And it's all tied together, but it's all fun and games when you're sitting on top, but that dynamic is absolutely changing. And how do we pivot? What do we do, at the end of the day? And I think for the first time in modern civilization, we have a lifeboat. We have an exit. We have something that we can flee to. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be happen overnight. It's going to be painful when it happens, but at least we have for the first time a way of opting out of the bullshit system we're subjected to, which is why I'm such a big advocate of Bitcoin originally, and now Bitcoin Cash, because it actually carries the torch of peer-to-peer electronic cash as outlined in the white paper. Do I think it's only going to be BCH going forward? No. I think it's going to be a multi-coin world. I do, and I kind of agree. I agree with Joel on this. He's like, if everybody started using BTC, which has the largest market cap, a $1.2 trillion market cap, it wouldn't be enough to sustain merchants out there with even just that one coin that has the largest market cap. It's going to be all kinds of different coins, which is why I love what Mocha is doing with their app, because they'll say, spend whatever you want. From whatever shit coin you want to whatever massive market cap coin you want, the merchant can accept it as a medium of exchange and then off-ramp to the currency of their choice or hold it natively, whatever they want to do. That really is the best solution, in my opinion, going forward. It's going to be a multi-coin world. I think Bitcoin Cash.
I want to ask about like how can Mocha help with retail adoption, and how will BCH, is that going to add pressure to the storefronts to where people can buy from them?
Well, it's not pressure. It's just now rather than going in, Tats, to you on board of that juice bar out in Venice, right?
Right.
Yeah. So rather than going in there and saying, hey, brother, take this excellent, superior, fast, cheap medium of exchange in Bitcoin Cash, you can say, hey, Mocha app allows you to accept all cryptocurrencies in the well, not all, but I think the top 150 is what they accept. And so it doesn't matter if a Cashie's coming in there, a Bitcoiner's coming in there, a Dash person, Monero, what have you. They can spend whatever they want, and that merchant can now accept that and immediately off-ramp it to either a stable coin a U.S. dollar in the form of a debit card, which they can spend in fiat, or they can hold it natively if they want to. So it really is the best of all worlds. You need to connect with Mocha for sure.
I was just gonna say I need to get with them because I need to be taking that with the Sprinter van like around to these different merchants like
Absolutely.
that's efficient.
They are about to
Yeah.
they're about to launch a partner platform that helps individuals like all of us not only educate others on their concept, their point of sale service, but also the beauty of it, Tats, is you get a cut of the transaction fees. I want to say their transaction fee it's less than 1%. And to my knowledge, I think you get half of that ongoing for all the business that merchant does. So there's your sustainable model right there to feed you guys while you're on the road onboarding merchants. So you absolutely
whoa, because what?
Yes.
Fire.
Yes,
Yeah,
you will get any merchant you onboard, you will get a percentage of all the transactions that come through that merchant from all cryptos they accept.
Yep, and I was already thinking of other things like that. Double O. While we're traveling, we can also pitch gas stations, crypto ATM machines, all kinds of other things. There's a lot of like crypto canvas work out there that's just like easy. You know what I mean? Just like conversation stuff that we're gonna be doing for content anyway. So like, yeah, we can pitch a gas station, an ATM machine for crypto. We can pitch a cell phone repair shop, a Mocha for on ramp. You know what I mean? All that is just going to be part of our everyday kind of like, you know what I mean? Like part of the
hell yeah. And shit, I'm a merchant. I can use Mocha my damn self.
Yes, of course.
Fire.
Of course. Now, a half of a percent is not a lot. So you're going to have volume for it to be significant, but that adds up over time. For sure.
I'm seeing longevity. I'm seeing years from now where it's going to continue. And I know it's going to. The more people start using crypto, it's just going to continue to grow more and more. Like it's this snowball effect. I see it.
It's. I think it's great what they're doing. Got to spend some time with Zay at Bliss. He's the one of the co-founders and creators of Mocha. Just a solid dude, smart, hardworking, hustling his ass off. They're doing big things, and I think they have a real shot at putting having a significant impact in this space and benefiting all tribes in the crypto space. Bitcoin Cash included.
Big shout out to Mocha. He tunes in. I see him in the chat every once in a while. They're gonna send me a plushie for my desk, so I'm hyping.
Oh, that's them. Oh, that's fire.
Yeah, that's them. Yeah, they be popping up in the chat. They be tuning into the podcast, which is really nice.
That's lit. That's super lit. Yeah.
Miggy said, Toshi said, when Bitcoin Cash loan company? I feel like isn't there one?
Yeah, well, I think Perion just launched. I think they you've been able to get a loan on MUSD for the last year, so you can borrow against your BCH in the form of MUSD. The problem is it depends. If you're wanting to actually spend fiat, it's a little more complicated because there's not a lot of swaps from Perion USD, PUSD, or MUSD to fiat, and that's going to require the integration with centralized exchanges. It's the nasty reality and aspect of still having to live in a fiat world, and the ease of on-ramping and off-ramping, which is a whole nother ball of wax because you've got whole money transmittal issues going on there. There's no perfect, seamless, cheap solution yet for that, but you can do it, Miggy. Look at Perion. That's our latest stablecoin that launched at Bliss officially, and they've got a loan feature there. They're doing big things. A beautiful UI on their site. Check out Perion, P-A-R-Y-O-N USD, Perion USD, and they've got loan features there. Again, you post your BCH, you can borrow against it in PUSD. It's getting that PUSD to your other medium of exchange, whether it's fiat or otherwise, that might be a little complicated, but that will change in time. But yes, you can borrow against your BCH right now. And you have been able to for the last year with MUSD.
You know what I just thought about? Does Bitcoin Cash solve too many problems that Bitcoin has, that it's no longer financially reasonable, in that sense that it's not a bug, it's a feature? When you look at like all the things that suck about Bitcoin, BTC, they found ways to monetize solutions to those problems with Lightning and Layer 2s, and how much opportunity they sell that as. Like, all these bugs are just opportunities for you to build solutions around, and all these institutions attracted to Bitcoin like shit and flies, you know, like in horse shit, like they just found ways to be like, to make middlemen necessary, right? Yep. So is there not enough problems in Bitcoin Cash for these like bugs to be turned into features that are monetized, for these middlemen and institutions to jump in and say, we can solve that with this, use you know, like, you know, where's the need for the men in the middle with all the money to jump into Bitcoin Cash? Does it in fact solve too many problems that Bitcoin has?
So that's a great observation, and it's a great question. To your point about Lightning, I think ultimately Blockstream's MO was to lure you in with fast, cheap transactions, but eventually they wanted to push you to Liquid, which is just completely a rent-seeking scenario that's unnecessary. But yeah, it's a good problem to have when you have sound, hard medium of exchange that's fast, zero confirmation, and cheap to use. You solve the bulk of the problems right there. To your point, that creates an extra issue in, well, how do we monetize this and actually use it in a way that can be self-sustainable as a business model? I think General Protocols with AnyHedge and BCH Bull is the flagship in our ecosystem that's actually doing that. And they make money from transaction fees like anyone else. If you get into an AnyHedge contract or a BCH Bull contract, whether it's long or short, they're going to get a cut of that contract when it closes per the smart contract technology that's built in there. And so that's their sustainable model. So there's definitely ways to monetize this. But it's always going to come down to, you're going to give up a little bit of something for the convenience of that service or the potential reward you get from that service. That's the only way it's sustainable at the end of the day from a business perspective. There's an outfit called Code Valley. I don't know if you saw the T-shirts at Bliss, Code Valley on them. One of the speakers, Noel Lavisa, he's in Townsville, Australia, which is known as Bitcoin Cash City, a very prominent area in Australia where hundreds of merchants use and accept BCH on a regular basis. It was one of the, I don't know who actually planted it there. It may have been Noel himself and his group, but I know Roger was involved in one way early on, and kind of making that Bitcoin Cash City. It's got its own little history. Point is that speaker, he was on the bill for Bliss and he wasn't able to make it. He has something that he's created called emergent coding that works really well in the BCH model, in that he's tried to explain it to me numerous times. It's over my head, full-on tech, nerdy development. Oh, yeah. I'm not a developer, man. I can speak from an economics perspective. When you're getting down into the nitty-gritty of the technical side of this stuff, man, it just goes over my head. Point is
I think that's why me and you get it more, because like we economical. You know what I mean? I'm not really like tech and dev either. So yeah.
We all stand on the shoulders of giants in one way or another. Everybody does. So that's not a problem. We focus on what we're good at. But this individual has created a system that creates software systems and platforms with much more ease, and it uses massive amount of transactions in doing so, BCH transactions in doing so, and each one of those transactions obviously has a service fee associated with it. So to answer your question, Ken, yes, it's just a matter of your curiosity and creativity and how you want to use the base layer platform in a way that is self-sustaining and can be monetized. the vending machine. I've just been talking with Robert, who was at Bliss. He was one of the AV guys at Bliss. He and I believe Fiendish and a few others are working on a BCH vending machine right now concept, which could be international.
Yeah.
So in fact, to that point, one of the first test cases mentioned by Satoshi in the forums was a Bitcoin vending machine. So that shows you right there that this was meant to be fast, cheap, instant. Correct. You're not going to punch in your 3-digit code in a vending machine and wait 10 minutes for your candy bar to drop. It's bullshit. And anybody that says otherwise is deluded and parroting a toxic narrative. It's the part of the fiat mind virus. Unfortunately, when Bitcoin BTC started really gaining momentum and went up in fiat price, that's all anybody, the bulk of the community has focused on. And then you got the D-bag sailors that enter the equation and start with their spewing their nonsense, and everybody just listens to that.
Exactly what validates it as nonsense, Steve, is the fact that their friends didn't bite any of their bullshit. And it's not like Michael Saylor convinced the other 1%ers to get in on his scam. He just convinced a bunch of retail investors. He went for the 99% because the 1% wasn't biting. And it's obvious at this point. There's no competition for MicroStrategy out there. Nobody else in the 1% was like, Saylor's really on to something here. They didn't invest. They didn't compete. They're not getting involved because he's just not doing that. He's not going for that. He's trying to
hang on now.
Investors to be liquidity for his scam.
Yeah, well, I agree with you on one half of that. Yes, since the dawn of time, there's always been a bully that tries to control the rest of the tribe, and this is no different. They need that 99% money. They need the credulous to just follow along and be sheep in that regard. But big money has also got involved in the form of ETFs and treasuries and funds as well. So it's not like they're completely turning their nose at it, because ultimately they're driven, like everybody, they're driven by greed, and they saw an opportunity there to take advantage of that. But as that negative feedback loop kicks in with BTC, I think the likelihood of it just continuing to go up indefinitely is very low, because again, you're absolutely destroying that 99% that you depend on when these massive bubbles happen. The fact that he can sell 32 of his BTC and have that much of an impact on the market is again self-evident to me. That
but he bought 1,600 the next couple days later.
Right.
It didn't have any effect on the market.
Right. So yeah, I don't know. I think retail doesn't have the fortitude to get through massive volatility like big business does.
I'm just looking at from the liquidity perspective, because like you mentioned, the institutions and the other 1% are getting in, but they're getting in through the ETFs, which are derivative paper Bitcoin. They're not adding any liquidity to crypto. They're not coming in and contributing to the market cap. They're not contributing to scarcity and supply. Right. So they're not in Bitcoin. Right. He didn't convince them to start helping make the supply less. Like, don't start they're not getting into Bitcoin. They're
so
in a way, but they're also creating a way in which they could short that shit too. They're going to be able to use their ETF entrance to also hedge against Bitcoin. And as it goes down, they'll be happy they have a way to be involved that doesn't help contribute to Bitcoin or crypto, but they can cash out on the fact that it's going down thanks to these derivatives.
Yeah. To knowing that nuance, I didn't realize you were using that nuance. I completely agree. Yes, they have no plan on actually getting in native BTC and using it for anything else other than another speculative, manipulative, predatory asset that they can move around at their will and benefit from. Yeah, it's lambs to the slaughter, man. that's all it is. It's lambs to the slaughter at the end of the day. I mean, there was, just from a fiat and greed perspective alone, I think that ship has by and large sailed for 99% of the retail and population out there. And now it's just who can we dump on next, and how can we
There's no
use
liquidity
derivatives.
to dump on anything right now, man. There's so much. There's like I feel like we're living in this weird like Black Mirror Twilight Zone thing where it's like we're in a bubble within a bubble within a bubble. We're in a cryptocurrency bubble. We're in an AI bubble, and then now we're in an infrastructure bubble for electricity and water to supply the other two bubbles with. That eventually the dominoes are going to start falling. How are you preparing for the inevitable collapse of just the world economy based on the dominoes that are presented to us? It's all on shaky ground. It feels like any day now we're going to see that like these AI companies are becoming like SpaceX and Anthropic are getting trillions of dollars in evaluation while losing billions of dollars every month. Even Google just signed the deal with somebody for like $1 trillion a month on compute power that they are running so far in the negative that it's so unsustainable. What is your plan? Since you're not saying like you're not all in on crypto, you're more cash flow positive. Where do you hedge in on that side? Like, are you waiting for a moment where you do go all in, or what's sort of like your plan for the world collapse here?
No, I would say I am all in. I'm just approaching it differently. When people say, I think there's different definitions of all in. There's people that go all in and just hodl, just hold. There's people that go all in and actually use it as their only form of money, like you and Joel. And there's people, I'll just use my own example, that are moving fiat into BCH as often as I possibly can. I love spending BCH because I know every BCH that I spend is having a compound effect in bolstering this technology and the world. Yes. So I'm as all in as I can be. I use this analogy at Bliss. You may have caught it, that if I told my wife and 2 kids that, hey, we're moving everything to BCH today, we're never spending another fiat dollar, they would very quickly show me the door. I just cannot do that. Now, I think that's a great goal to aspire to. So in my personal world, I'm doing the best I can and moving my cash flow as much as I can into this space as often as I possibly can. And there's going to be different degrees of that. If I were single and globetrotting like you and Joel, without a doubt, dude, I'd have no problem completely debanking and doing so. But I have people that depend on me for their livelihood, unfortunately, which is still very much tied to TradFi.
I will be the first to tell you, and I think Joel will be the second, this lifestyle is not something we would recommend. We are beta testers for the future of money. It is very expensive and very cumbersome. It's inconvenient and it sucks. But the life experience, the story in which we have is worth that in that sense. Like, if you were saying we didn't have people depending on you, I'd say go for it if you want to deal with all the headaches. But it's like a very unique perspective that you're going to have. But it's not worth it when you have other people depending on you, man. Like this space is so volatile. I've been up and down so many different times, and this downtime has been the longest I've been down. But like seeing the market kind of crashing with me is a little bit, it feels like some solidarity, a little solidarity. Like, oh, okay, even the people that were doing good ain't doing great. Like, okay. But I mean, I don't know.
So anyway, I get to I eliminate that emotional roller coaster aspect of it because I'm not a bag holder. I move it into BCH, I spend it in the ecosystem as I get it, and rinse and repeat. I look forward to a time where I can more easily live consistently on Bitcoin Cash, but we're not there yet. And I have the utmost respect for you and Joel for actually walking the walk and blazing the trail for the rest of us. Tats as well. Tats is living more and more on BCH as well. So yeah, no, I get it, man. I get it. It's awesome. It's commendable. Mad respect.
I've been buying
the problem for me is the problem for me is how I earn my fiat. I can only earn it in fiat until I can get the companies that I work with on a daily basis to pay me in BCH. It's not an option for me. So I just have to find the way to on-ramp
Yeah, but
to
even if
BCH
that
as
was the
smoothly as I
case,
can.
I worry about those things coming before they're necessary. Like a solution before a problem, or a solution that causes a problem, in the sense that, like, to go earlier on what Double O was talking about with Mocha, if more people, businesses accepted BCH, or if your business paid you in it, it would all come still down to sell pressure. It wouldn't really create much buy pressure, because it's still at the end of that chain, somebody's going to have to cash out, whether it's for their suppliers, their utilities, their bills, their mortgage, their rent, their whatever. So we have to really, I think, start from like the supply chain side of things. Once we get the supply chain on board, then I think that we can start convincing people to start paying their employees in it, because then the employees will have places to spend it. The places that accept it will have other places to spend it. But they're like, that chain needs to be, like, the end of that chain needs to be solved before the chain even starts. So we have to start aiming for supply chain acceptance before retail acceptance. Because once the retailers can buy their chips and eggs and milk or whatever they are selling, like, you know, with the crypto that they're accepting, that is a more cyclical on-ramp kind of thing. Otherwise, we end up into this linear roadblock to where eventually somebody has to cash out.
Yes. And you're describing the painful steps it's going to take to get to that parallel economy that we have to create. We need to replace that buy-sell pressure with use pressure, where people are actually using this, earning it and spending it as it was intended. Read the fucking headline, people. Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. It's right there. It tells you everything that you need to know about why this is such important technology that we've got to migrate to. So yes, and to this point, it's not going to happen overnight. And I think, as much as I don't like stable coins, because they're just a proxy for fiat at the end of the day, I think they are going to be a necessary step for specifically merchants that still have to buy inventory and pay employees in a currency that's widely accepted globally. So I don't like stablecoins on their face, but I think they are a necessary step to getting us one closer to that peer-to-peer electronic cash system, where stablecoins become as irrelevant as fiat. And there are better stablecoins out there than others. PUSD and MUSD is fully backed and collateralized by BCH. It's not backed and collateralized by the dollar.
Yeah.
So
that's the only way. That's the only that stable coins being stable to fiat is never going to be the pill that gets people out of the matrix. But a stable coin backed by a stable amount of a volatile thing like cryptocurrency makes so much sense in a cyclical economy that it's the only way it stays cyclical. Otherwise, there's always going to be that brick wall with their leaking out in the fiat. We make fiat irrelevant by pretending it never existed to begin with and build around the idea that it doesn't exist. Stop including it in the thought process, and it will no longer be in the process. I know we can kind of wrap things up here, man. Thank you, Steve. BCH, guys, thank you all for tuning in. We have the cash stamps down there, right there on the screen. Every 6 minutes or so, it should be switching. If you already have some crypto, please don't scan it. But if you're new and you don't have any, please go ahead and scan the private key QR code right over there on the bottom right corner, and you can grab some BCH from cash stamps thanks to Steve. Double O Tats, why don't you get us out of here?
All right, man. You already know what it is, man. It's Double O Tats, the Black James Bond with the tattoo gun, man. Represent Bitcoin Cash to the fullest, man. The real sound money, freedom money, man. Doing these Bitcoin Cash tattoos, man. Gotta give it a shout out to everybody in the Bitcoin Cash community and the anonymous donator. You know what I mean? It's all love. I appreciate you so much. I'm gonna make sure, you know, you get 100%, 1000x%, you know, value from what you invested, man. Because I'm definitely got to turn it up. Like, about to do everything we just talked about on this podcast, as far as, you know, onboard merchants, you know, using Mocha. You know, I'm excited to make that connection for sure.
It's gonna be a movie, bro, and we're gonna do it live.
Yes.
For sure, bro.
Steve, where can people go to find you on your socials?
In the Twitter world, well, in the crypto world, I primarily just stay on X, on Twitter. So just my name, Steve Thurmond, at Steve Thurmond on X. Feel free to give me a follow there. That's where I do most of my crypto content. I do have a YouTube channel, Forward Financial, as well, that I've got some videos on there. But the best place to find me is on X at Steve Thurmond.
And make sure you guys give a follow to Cash Stamps as well. Big shout out to Cash Stamps. Thank you for making
I don't know.
my on-ramping conversations so much easier.
I don't know if the QRs are maybe not big enough, but or if they're showing to the public out there, but I haven't seen any get claimed yet. If you're watching out there, you got to install the wallet. That's the left QR code. Install the wallet first, and then scan the right QR code with the scan function in the Selene wallet to sweep the funds into that wallet. But I haven't seen any get claimed yet, so if you're going to keep running them, I guess for a while, we'll see if anybody claims them.
Yeah, I'll keep them up there for a couple days until you let me know. But yeah, Miggy, don't scan it. You already got some. I see you. AJS. It's all, well, mostly probably because people that are watching actually have some crypto, so they're not stealing it for the newcomers, which is nice.
Right.
That's actually a good sign that nobody took it, because there are people watching. And they're all my bros. So.
Well, I'll keep them live, Ken. I'll keep them live for as long as you want. So if you want to keep flashing them, I'll just tell you when they've been burned. So.
Okay, yeah, I'll keep them on the screen there. And yeah, cool, man. Thanks. And if you ever want to send new ones over, if they do get claimed up, I'll keep it on the screen down there on the bottom right.
Well, we'll also get you a stack for Futurist, which we'll be talking about here, I think, shortly. So.
All right, let's wrap this up. We're getting off the air. This was not another Bitcoin podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, drop a comment, and have a day.
Hello, happy bros. Hey, you're about to get a face full of the Kenn Bosak. He's a mentor. That's what I heard. He's a connector. Oh, yeah. He's a brilliant leader. I've seen it. He's Kenn Bosak. Oh, happy bro. You gotta get some Bitcoin and hold it. Happy bros. You gotta get those NFTs and you gotta hodl that stuff. You gotta hodl it. 'Cause I'm Kenn bro. We got your Bitcoin, bro. He's an original. Buy some NFTs and hold them. How many times does he have to tell you? Going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're gonna get real high. 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 Yeah, we're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Bro, we're going to the moon. Oh yeah, we're going to the moon. We're gonna get real high. Real high. Yep. Real high. Hello, happy bros. Come get some Kenn Bosak.